intellectually enriching 10 days training and faculty development program on advanced tools and techniques for research methodology. These initiatives is proudly organized by the Institute of Marketing and Management Delhi, Research Foundation of India, RFI-CARE, and DPIT, with generous sponsorship from Eklavya University, JHARF, Academic Research Guide Association, and Edu Academic Inc. It is my privilege to reintroduce our session expert, Dr. Kunal Soni sir, an associate professor at the School of Management, GSFC University, Vadodara. As many of you are already familiar with Kunal sir from his previous insightful session on compiling references and bibliography. So today, on the 9th day of our program, he is here once again to share his expertise on the topic writing research papers and reports, understanding impact factor and publication facets. So without further delay, I invite Dr. Soni sir to commence his presentation. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Neha madam. So welcome all of you once again on the second last day of the FTP and the second session for me in this particular faculty development program organized by Research Foundation of India. So let's begin with the presentation part. So first of all, when I'll it is my habit to settle down the background before presenting anything in front of you. So I'll just give you the brief overview what exactly today we are going to see, and what is the purpose when we are arranging certain kind of faculty development program. So many a times it happens that we just go with the flow of the sessions, or the topics that has been arranged by the various universities, institute, and institutes. But one more important things that we all forget is why. So the today's question for the same, when I'm talking about the important publication facet and how to build the report, we need to understand this. Why we are going into this particular scenario, why we are following this trends, why we all need to know about this particular things. Very, very important part to understand. So research proposal is the image of the person who is making the research. It represent the profile, it represent the mirror image of the researcher. So it is very important to know the each and every parameters of the research reports that you have to incorporate into your research journey, or at the time of submission in whatever agencies you are targeting, whether it could be for research proposal for having a research grant, and at the same time it could be for the multiple aspect. Multiple aspect, when I'm saying, so multiple aspect means you are submitting your research proposal for research articles, or I can say journal articles, and at the same time you are also focusing on the research books publications. If you are aware about the many of the series of the books which is going on into the market with the Scopus index, so they are providing the indexing and citation factors, right? So market has many things within us, but most important thing is we should focus and we should open our eyes for the market, and through which we can be able to generate the multiple research success in our academic journey, right? Because we all are focusing on to have the successful publication. If I talk about this Scopus journey, right? So people are spending 1 year, 2 years down the line to get one success. So believe me, this is tough journey, but it is an interesting journey. And to have the one initial publication is always a tough task. But once you are through with it, the journey will be more ease. And the journey will be ease with concrete success for the research. And that is what we all are focusing on it. And that is why we all are here today to discuss. So with that introduction, let me allow to share my screen. So we'll have the more detailed discussion on this particular parameter. Yeah. So it's a visible screen.
Yes, sir.
Right. Thank you, madam. So you can see on my introductory site only, right? I'm focusing on how to increase the citation part, because ultimately when we are doing a research, ultimate purpose of doing a research is to have the citation. But one thing I always speak about my session, that when you consider yourself to be a researcher, when you are considered to be the expert of the research, make sure that we are knowing the multiple parameters of the research. Only by proving ourselves to be a successor of the research, or advisor of the research, will not suffice the purpose, because at some point of time you will be catch. So important thing is, the research says that you need to keep updating yourself for the whatever changes that has been taken place throughout the journey of research. Then only in the era of research you will be able to sustain in the academic life, right? If at all you are consisting, today I'm taking a session, but if at all I'm not changing myself for the whatever changes that has been taken place for the research part, analytical point of view, software point of view, the changing criteria, thrown by the UGC, AICT. So I will be outdated from the market, or else I will struggle for some period of time, and then I have to live it out the industry. So we have to keep updating ourselves, and that is why we all are here to make ourselves on a more concrete side for having more research profile with the understanding of the publication facts, and at the same time the how to improve the citation with the understanding of the impact factors, and which are the journals, what parameters we need to see when we are targeting to particular journals. So let's discuss one by one. So why citation does matters? So simple answer is, when you are proving your research work into the market will respect your research work only if the research is going to be useful to the society into the deepest and concrete manner. If at all your research will not prove the things which has to be proven, I'm sorry to say, but your research will be research on a piece of paper. And that kind of research does not have the market acceptability, right? So your research should be a live point. It represents the current state of problems for the society, or for the area, or for the industry through which you want to target, that your research should helpful to them with some great outcomes out of your work. And that's why the first line itself is saying that the research is having the quality. If your research doesn't having any quality, it has no values in the market. So we must need to ensure that whatsoever research we will provide, it should ensure the deepest quality and purest research that you are providing. That's why you have to link your performance through your KPI, that is key performance index and H index. Mainly, we are focusing on the H index because whenever we are uploading our research work on the various citation platforms, right, people are citing our papers, and these citations will leads to the success of the researcher, that is represented by the H index, right? So there are multiple calculations to have the H index, I index, right? And this H index, I index will be represented by the great researcher profile, right? If at all your H index is on higher side, it leads to the greatest research profile that you are representing to the society. So that is what, in a nutshell, we all have to understand this. University ranking, obviously, our universities are always focusing on the NAC accreditation, NB accreditation, and whatsoever the international quality assurance, ISO marking. So for this particular aspect, out of these all criterias of the various agencies, we all know that the 50% to 60% of the overall criterias, you know, has been held by the research, right? And that's why all universities are focusing on the research from the academicians, right? So we have to provide, and we being an academician needs to provide some contribution on the research when we are representing to certain universities and institute, and for which the research is going to be a crux or one of the most important parameter for all of us to represent. And at the same time, university affiliation, obviously, If university wants to grow, if university wants to take a license for the various platforms, even if university wants to go global, university needs to provide good affiliation by having good ratings from the NAC, NBA, or whatsoever quality assurance agencies that universities are focusing. So if at all university wants to have a great affiliation, university needs to prove themselves on a qualitative parameter. And when we talks about the quality parameter, it is nothing but the research and publications that we need to provide to your universities and institute. And that's why the quality assurance certificate we have already talked about. So this is why the publication does matter for universities and institute from the academician like us, and we have to ensure that this good quality journals should be targeted by us by providing quality of the research work. Okay, so why to increase the citation? So first, it shows the impact that your research has in the particular field or area. So many of you are from the different genre, right? If at all, if I need to represent your citation score. So you are, somebody is from marketing, somebody is from finance, somebody is from HR, somebody is from physical education, somebody represent law, somebody represent fashion designing, somebody represent engineering. So we are from different domains. So I'm not talking about the specific domain, but I'm talking about on a research front that your research impact should be related to the particular field or area based on the specialization that you are carrying in your profile. If at all we are going for good universities and institute, if at all we are targeting to good universities like IIMs, and if at all we talks about the universities from abroad, so they are very sensitive in terms of carrying the research work from the researcher like an academician, right? You should not deviate from the core area of the research that you have it. Let's suppose, what is the meaning of core area? So if at all I'm representing the area of finance, so even in finance, I have to pick it out some important topics on which I want to do the research, right? So this is called the core area. But in India, we can at least consider that if at all I'm a faculty of finance, so I should ensure that my all research should be finance. Many times I have noticed that people are coming out with the multiple domains. They are making tie-ups with different people. So this kind of approach, obviously, tie-ups will lead to greater research profile in terms of number of publication. But if it talks in a quality point of view, then it will hamper the profile of researcher. We should not do this, because you should focus and you should represent to the researcher into specific domain areas in which you represent. Right? But if at all at the beginning, if you want to tie up, then you can do it. But yes, your research should be quality, focused on good journals, having good impact factors, and at the same time, the research should provide the great significance to the society in terms of the area of research that you have carried out. Research assessment, very important to evaluate your quality, impact, and significance of your research activity within an academic institute. And this helps institution in terms of funding bodies, right? Many universities, institutes also have to show the fundings activities that has been carried out by the academicians, and based on this funding agencies, they have to go for the accreditation. So funding criteria is also one of the important criteria for the universities and researcher to provide to the society, right? So we must need to ensure this criteria on a concrete way. And the assessment often involves both qualitative and quantitative in terms of the measurement. And when we talks about the fundings and research assessment, so every funding agencies are providing finance to the researcher to prove the idea of research that has been carried out by the researcher, right? So these ideas and these criteria can be divided into two parts, as you can see on the screen. That is one of the major research project and one of this minor research project, right? So major and minor research project is the two criteria through which the researcher can opt for the research proposals, and once it is get approved by the agencies, they can be funded by the money, and they have to prove the research on which they want to demonstrate their qualities and skills towards the society, and they will provide some great inputs to the society with the evaluation. Okay, how to do it? So research is a collaborative activity, and it's a partnership efforts that we must need to ensure that. Many times I have found that many of the people wants to do the research by their own, because universities are forcing that one author, two author, three author. It's absolutely fine, if at all your criteria is to get 1 point and you try to publish 3 papers from 3 different groups, that would be better, because research is a collaborative effort, means you will learn from others, you will learn from the skills of others, and that's how you can improve your research activities, you can improve your networking, and through which you would be able to do the better research, right, through the collaborative and partnership. Right, so you should not only restrict your efforts towards your universities and institute, but you should extend your boundaries by having collaborative efforts with other professors from the different universities within state, outside state, right? So through which you can have the great partnership of the research, and intellectual skills and talent can be shared with each other. Then innovation and technology transfer. So assess the translation of research into tangible innovations, patents, or technology transfer agreements, right? So you also have to see to it where the research is going to be and for what purpose it is going to be used, right? So if at all you are planning for having some patent grants, so you should have the proper agreements, to save your research and to protect yourself from the copy and paste from the market, right? So because this is a normal practice in research, that copy and paste is the normal problems that we are facing in today's society. Okay, then after research infrastructure. Research infrastructure. So what is research infrastructure? Research infrastructure says that, okay, research infrastructure means what sort of laboratories, what sort of laboratories, and what sort of access that you have it in your universities. Because if at all you don't have the infrastructure in a proper way, you would not be able to have the access of the quality journal. And if you as a researcher would not have the ability to generate the quality of the research paper, you won't be able to have the greatest idea to make a research work, and through which you cannot incorporate such idea, and due to which you will not provide the greatest research to the society, right? So we need to ensure that the research infrastructure should be proper, and it should avail all the facilities, all the infrastructure in a proper way, so that your research will also go on to the qualitative mode. Then after research supervision and graduate training. So you need to have the supervisions. Once you are proving yourself to be a researcher, you are having the trainee under your supervision. So you have to guide them, and you need to provide the greatest guidance to them, that how to make the quality research work, and always focus on the greatest amount of the research work that they have to do it, right? So that is what we have to see to it. How to begin with report writing. So this is one of the important aspects. I had talked about many things, that you have to provide quality of research work, you should focus on quality of research work, but the most important part is how to begin with. So research is, please try to understand that research is a narrow down approach. The narrow down approach means the research should provide the broad or vague topic, right, that defines the scope of the research, right? That means if at all I'm saying that whenever I'm making some research paper into some quality journal, so what quality journals are focusing, if at all they are assessing my research work. So to answer this question, right, the simple and precise way to define this particular question, that the topic should be appropriate, it should not be too much lengthy, it should not be too much short, but it should be precise, up to the mark, which provides all the variables of the research that I want to prove in my research work. I hope it is clear when I'm saying it, research variables. Can anybody tell me what is the meaning of variables? What is the meaning of variables? Make it open this session. Can anybody tell me what is variable?
Sir, variables are those values that need to be either monitored or manipulated, like dependent variable or the independent variable. So maybe to understand the impact of one factor on another factor or the correlationships.
Right. So you know the variables, right? Actually, you know the variables in a very right manner. But when we talks about research topic, so variable means all the things that you want to deploy in your research work, that all should be covered in your research title, right? So as you said, when I'm saying that all the variables that should be deployed in your research title, that means the variable on the later stage will be divided into dependent and independent variable, right? Great answer. And one more addition on this, that your variable should also be on the side of mediation and moderation, right? If at all you are going for the structure equation modeling for the confirmatory factor analysis, right? So research title should be very specific. It means when the readers will read your title, they should be clear that what should be the part of the research work, what they are going to see in the research work. There should not be any deviation in the minds of people that what is going to become and what not going to become. That is called the clear and precise idea of the research that we are talking about. Clear? Okay. So when we talks about the narrow down on your focus, that means your research should be ethically original and significant. Means you should not copy and paste of the previous researcher. Research is always to have having a background of the idea and researching on this parameter, but that doesn't mean that you will entirely copy paste those things. Even 0.001% you are providing something extra to the research, it is called research. You are not searching new things. Try to understand, you are researching those things which is already searched out by the other researcher previously, right? It could be one variable, it could be one parameter, it could be in another geographical region, it could be in the same region that you are trying to prove or you want to confirm that factor which was previously find out by the other researcher. So it could be anything and everything, right? So this we need to understand. Many times people are getting confused. That is the first topic of this particular faculty development program, identification of research gap, right? So this is what is research gap. This is how you can do the research gap. It could be anything and everything which is previously find out, right? Even if at all I want to prove the factor which I have noticed in the Indore market, and I want to prove that factor into Baroda market at Gujarat state. This is also my research, right? If at all I found that there are many more parameters that could be the part of Indore market, then I can research those parameters, right? But the topic will not change, right? And this topic, whatever parameter or variables that I want to cover in my research work, that should be concretely reflected. That doesn't mean that there are 10 parameters, so I can write 10 parameters name into my research, right? If at all I want to see that, is there any impact of, behavioral traits of managers, right, on the financial performance of the companies. So behavioral traits covers every traits, right? Whatever we want to cover into the research work. So somebody says that behavioral traits means how it should be, cognitive biases. So should it be the part of the topic of the research work? No. Try to understand that we are covering the traits factors. So traits should be there in the topic. But if at all you have multiple parameters under the behavioral traits of the people, so this trait should be covered under the scope of the research, right? So whatsoever traits that you are planning to cover into your research work, that should be the part of the scope of research. So if at all anybody is reading your paper, the title is clear, and if the title is clear, and if somebody wants to go into detail overview, they will see your gap, they will see your scope, and they will see your objective. If I'll read this 4 parameter, believe me, 70 to 60% of the idea of the research paper I will receive in my mind, that this is the things that the researcher has gone through, right? If at all I'll see the objective with the synchronization of the title, if at all I'll see this identification of gap by considering the research title, which is very specific, and the scope in terms of the variables that the researcher wants to cover in the research work. So everything and everything will be very synchronized, very proper. Researcher do not have to go further, at least to get an idea what exactly is there in the paper, right? So things will be very clear at this stage only. That is on the methodological part, right? And once this is going to be executed, whatever data analysis part and the further parameters of the research report or research paper, that is in terms of the finding, conclusion, and suggestions or societal importance of the study will be as per the topics and as per the formats. So there is no deviation, from beginning to end. Your paper is completely following the paradigm, or the systematic approach which is required for the research work or research report that is going to be there. So this is what we need to understand. And as I told that your research should ensure that it has a relevance in terms of the societal interest, and that you can prove it through the existing literature review. And with the connection of the existing literature review, you can ensure and you can reconnect with the societal expectations, that is societal needs. And to do this, you have to see the existing research. As I told you, the first lecture of this faculty development program was identification of research gaps. So how you can find out the gaps. So the research gaps should always be ensured with the systematic literature review that you will do on the topic for your research proposal that you are planning to do, right? Because whatever fundings, whatever publications, decisions will be taken by the research, agencies, will be based on how appropriate your literature review, and based on that, how efficiently you have find out the gaps, and how actively you have executed those gaps into the analytical point of view. This is going to be the selection point of view for your research work, and to increase your citation part. And we need to ensure that if this work has been done, no journal can deny to publish your work. And that is what the theme of this session, that which journals, which agencies we should target. So this is what we have to see. Clearly state the objectives, as I told you. So once your literature review is done, your gap has been identified. So based on gap, you should provide the research questions or hypothesis that will represent the objectives, and objectives will represent to the gap, and gap should be synchronized with the title. I hope it is clear. Is it clear? That should be the synchronized process. Clear to everyone?
Sir, I have
When
a question, sir.
Yeah, please.
Sir, the literature review, when we will do our literature review, then how we make it, sir? But in the base of objective, or in the base of research gap?
Can you repeat your question? I couldn't get your question. What exactly you are asking?
Sir, when we will do our literature
If you are
review, sir,
comfortable in Hindi, you can ask, no issue.
सर हम जब लिटरेचर रिव्यू करते हैं तो मतलब इसको जब करते हैं तो किसके आधार पर सर करेंगे इसको? हमारा ऑब्जेक्टिव के आधार
आपका रिसर्च का टाइटल क्या है सर? That is based on based on that you will do the literature review. Is it clear?
Sir, my topic
Right.
is, sir, the title is Development of Deva Medium Irrigation Project and the Displacement of Tribals.
So
Yes,
your
sir.
literature review should be based on irrigation project
Yes, sir.
at the various level, right? So out of that you will find out the various approach has been adopted by the various governments for the irrigation process.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So based on that you will find out, does this irrigation process is adopted over here, and if it is adopted, right, what was the approach of the farmers for the irrigation process at the different areas of the Indian constitutions, right? So based
Yes,
on
sir.
that, you will try to prove that if at all you are belongs to Indore, you want to try by this factor it is applicable in this irrigation process at Indore. This is your gap.
Yes, sir. But sir, मेरा जो टाइटल है वो डिस्प्लेसमेंट के आधार पर करता है सर.
तो ठीक है ना, आपका जो भी टाइटल है आप उसको कंसिडर कीजिए. तो गैप क्या हुआ, वो इरिगेशन प्रोसेस में जितने फैक्टर्स आए हैं, you can apply the same factor at your location, right? You can make, if at all you don't want to take direct those factors, तो आप उसको एक्सप्लोरेटिव मोड पे रख दो कि मुझे पता नहीं है क्या होगा, let's try and ask to the people. You will find out, you will explore those factors. That would be the research gap.
ये सर, बट सर हम जब करते हैं तो लिटरेचर रिव्यू किसके आधार पर करेंगे सर? जब हम जो लिए हैं ऑब्जेक्टिव उसके आधार पर और रिसर्च गैप के आधार पर सर?
The literature review is a first step to begin your research journey, right? Even if I want to continue my research work or I should, discontinue with my research work, that should be answered by the literature review. So nobody can go for literature review based on the objective.
Yes sir.
Literature review will help you to build your objective,
Yes sir.
because research means you don't know anything. You are trying to search. अगर आपको सब कुछ पता ही है तो आप रिसर्च क्यों करोगे?
Yes sir.
Right? So you cannot define your objective first and then you do the literature review. You do the literature review, as I told you, I had used one particular word which is called synchronization process.
Yes sir.
Means you have tried to frame the title. Even title cannot remain the same after doing literature review. I must tell you this, because
Yes sir.
literature review will give you a brief overview of what exactly you want to do. So अगर आप literature review 4 बार 5 बार 6 बार करते हैं तो देखना
Yes sir.
हर लिटरेचर रिव्यू में आप एक बार टाइटल में रीमॉडिफिकेशन करेंगे,
Yes sir. तो सर
राइट? सो लिटरेचर रिव्यू विल हैव द फाउंडेशन प्रोसेस to go for the building the research articles or proposals for that you want to plan.
ये सर
Yeah.
सर और एक क्वेश्चन है सर, जब हम लिटरेचर रिव्यू को थीसिस में जब पुट करते हैं तो उसको कुछ पैरामीटर के बेसिस हम उसको रखते हैं सर, तो वो पैरामीटर हम कैसे लेंगे सर?
So that the link should not get disturbed.
Am I audible सर?
या मैं ऐसा बोल रहा हूँ सर कि आपके डाउट्स बाद में ले लें हम लोग.
Yes sir, of course sir.
आफ्टर सेशन.
Yes sir.
राइट. सो जो मुझे इंपॉर्टेंट चीजें जो कवर करनी है वो मैं मिस ना कर जाऊं.
Yes
ठीक
sir.
है.
Obviously sir.
Right. So
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Okay. Thank you. चलिए. Okay. So appropriate methods means qualitative and quantitative. Qualitative का मतलब ये होता है that you are not trying any data analytical overview, but just like as sir has said that I want to do the research on irrigation process. So whatsoever irrigation research has been done in the market, you will try to catch those ideas from the various researchers and you will try to demonstrate those ideas, and you want to conclude that there are 10 areas in the Indian market where irrigation process has been applied by this method, that method, this method, and out of this you will try to analyze that which irrigation method which is applicable in maximum area and which irrigation method has provided the maximum positive results in the different geographical location in India. This is called qualitative, means based on the previous researcher, whatever their experience and results are there, you will try to summarize those results into single platform. This is called qualitative. And quantitative means you are just taking the variables ideas and based on that variable you will try to regenerate the data for the same parameters of the research topic, and based on that you will do the research. That is called quantitative. Ethical implications. So yes, when you are doing a research you should be ethical and you should try to avoid the plagiarisms, copy paste of the ideas, and if at all you are taking the ideas from the previous researcher, don't forget that important parameter of your research proposal is to give the appropriate citations to the researcher, and this is called the method of giving a respect to the researcher who has done excellent work, through which we would be able to execute our research work and through which we are justifying the research society. Clear? So that is what it is. Then develop data collection tools. So you can collect the data through various mediums of data collection tools. That is, you can do the surveys through, that is the questionnaire, right? Questionnaire se bhi survey hota hai. You can have a survey by having various kinds of interviews, so there are different parameters to collect the data. If at all you are not planning for primary data, so you can collect the secondary data from the published report, journals, articles, magazine, newspapers. Even you can collect the financial data or whatsoever the secondary type of data which is available in terms of the various companies website or agencies like RBI, Reserve Bank of India, to provide GDP data kind of things, right? So you can have it, but whatsoever data is required and which agency you should target, So this kind of clarity will come only when you are through with the literature review, and based on literature review you have tried to develop your title, and based on the title you have tried to incorporate those things in terms of the research gap, and based on research gap you have tried to remodify the objective and hypothesis that you want to plan it out, right? So everything is, is a process. It's not like that I can build everything on a single day. Everything will come by one through process that we need to ensure. And that's why once your data has been collected, must ensure that your data should prove the reliability and validity in terms of collecting those data. And when you incorporate those data for your analysis point of view, that the data should be consistent and it should not be, you know, what I can say is a waste data, very scattered data. So scattered data has no relevance in the society of research. So we must need to ensure that the data collection should be done ethically and properly, but justify our research in an effective manner. Choose appropriate analysis methods. So obviously, as I told you, that is a synchronization process. You do the literature review, you will reframe the title. Based on title, you will reframe your gap. Based on gap you will try to rebuild your objective. Based on objective you will try to rebuild your questionnaire. Based on hypothesis, based on hypothesis you will try to rebuild your questionnaire will be defined by the appropriate data analysis tools and techniques, which should be directly synchronized with the objective that you have defined. And based on that, whatever analysis tools and techniques you have applied with the consideration of objective, that should be interpreted in a right context in the language of research. That's how, if you want to publish your report or you want to get fundings with the research proposal, this criteria should give utmost priorities. And if at all being a researcher, you will try to focus on this parameter. Believe me, no agencies would deny to give you the fundings. That means if you are clear what you want to do it, no agency can deny it for the research proposal, and that is what we need to ensure it. So structure your paper or proposal. So basically when we talks about the structure of the research, so this structure basically can be defined into 5 or 6 parameters, which includes the first parameter is introduction, second is literature review, right? Third is methodology, fourth is data analysis, that is the results that you will receive, and fifth is the discussion and conclusion, right? So discussion and conclusion, that is findings and conclusion, right? So the question is, what should be the part of introduction? All the variables, as we had discussed, right? Introduction should cover all variables that we talks about in the title, right? Whatever variables you have covered into the title, that should be clearly communicated through the introduction part. No variable should be left out in introduction. Just like I told you, behavioral traits and it having a financial performance impact, right? So I should not forget the behavioral traits and financial performance parameter of the company. Or even I should not forget the industry introduction for which I want to find out the behavioral traits impact on their performance. So I should not forget the industry and I should not forget the company. If you have mentioned this 4 parts into your introductory part, then I think you are well structured your introductory part for your research proposal, right? So this is behavioral traits, financial performance indicators, that could be, ratios, balance sheet part, liquidity part, whatever it is, which industry you are talking, let's say FMCG product. And in FMCG product, which companies behavioral traits you are talking about. So you can take, you might have 4 to 5 companies, and this 4 to 5 companies should be discussed in the scope of the research, which is falling under the chapter 3, that is research method. Or might be the research proposal, whatsoever you are targeting for your research journey, but it should be clear, synchronized, precise in terms of the language as well. So this is the next parameter, that clear language should be used and consistency should be maintained throughout the research journey. Side told to the previous researcher, whosoever has made plans to execute our research work today, we should be we should give the prior credits to that people by providing their research articles, right? So and Chicago, Harvard, BibTeX, and notes. So these are the various citation methods that we all must utilize for our research journey, right? That is American Psychological Association, that is APA, Chicago, right? Stay updated, as I told you, before sharing the PPT in the beginning of the session. So we, being a researcher, needs to keep update ourselves. Whatsoever changes that has been taken place into the market, we must adopt, and we should not hesitate to adopt such changes. Otherwise, we are out of the market, right? So we must needs to keep update ourselves as far as the research journey is concerned, right? So we have to stay updated, reflect and improve. So regularly you have to assess your research results and outcomes, and you always need to find out the opportunities for the improvement. If at all you feel that there is a scope of improvement, then you must need to incorporate to make your research work into more reflective manner to the society, and that's where the acceptability towards the society will going to be improved. Engage with peers, right? So peers means, as I told research cannot be done by sitting into one rooms, right? But you need to come out of the rooms, and you should you know extend your area of networks by attending various conferences, workshops, seminars, and due to which we are here today. You are sitting at somewhere, I'm at Gujarat, right? So we are building our networks. I came to know few people today. After the session we'll have an introduction. You came to me that yes, this is one of the resource person, right? So if at all in future, if you want to synchronize or we meet somewhere else, we must recall everyone, or might be we can tie up with each other to have the great research journey for the future, right? So this is what we need to build a network, right, through the social media platforms, right? So through which we can, even if it will, many people today which are sitting in the faculty development program today itself, they are just the beginner of the researcher, right? It's okay, no issue. Everyone has to start with this stage only. But what is the next? That means you should be following the great researcher in the market, right? Whatever in your connection, right? If you feel that my research is good today, you can follow me. You can, have it. You should follow a Research Foundation of India, right? Who is taking wonderful initiatives to increase the research domain for the faculties, and so you must follow the channel of Research Foundation of India on YouTube's, Facebook, right? We are everywhere, right? You should follow it. We are continuously arranging such kind of workshop seminars to improve your research domain concept, through which you can prove yourself to be a great researcher, right? And through which you can improve it. It is not a one-day game. Try to understand, right? It takes 6 months, 1 year, but yes, if you continuously involve yourself into this journey, definitely you can be the part of it, right? So follow on social media good agencies, good resource person, good people of research. That will automatically improve your research, right? Because, right, वो बोलते हैं ना, जिसको हम फॉलो करते हैं ऐसे ही हमें विचार आते हैं. So if you keep following the research, your brain should start thinking on research parameter, right? So you have to mold yourself into the research journey. It will not come over a period of one night, right? It takes time, but yes, it will come definitely. If you work hard, if you work ethically, it will come for sure. And that's what the last point, as I was talking about. So collaborate with experts, right? So keep in touch with good experts which you feel in the area of research in which you belongs, which you feel that you will get a great idea for the future. So have a mentors with them, right? So research is not like that we have learned in our childhood life, right? It always going to be learned at the maturity stage. So you have to collaborate with the great experts in the area or domain of your research. Those who knows the research methodology, those who have the good knowledge of citations, those who have a good knowledge of publications, right? How to write proposals, all the areas of research. So have a collaborative efforts with those people. It will automatically improve your research knowledge. So where to have the great citations of your paper? So when your paper is having this agencies, when your paper is coming out through these agencies, your paper has no, you don't have to prove that whether your paper is qualitative or not, because these are the agencies which completely provides the quality of the research work, and we must need to ensure this. Our research work should get published in this such kind of journals, so that the visibility towards the society will automatically comes, right? So this is what we all need to ensure this. Clear? Okay. Then after, uh, so these are the agencies like Scopus, Web of Science, Google Scholar, ABDC, Taylor and Francis, MDPI, and Inder Science, right? So these are the various websites through which you can have it. Here I have mentioned MDPU by mistakes, but it is MDPI, right? So kindly consider this MDPI, right? Okay, so this is MDPI journals. So these are the aligned with ORCID ID, which have the citations, which will try to build your H index, right, in terms of the total citations you have received. And once your H index is going to be high, you do not have to prove that you are a good researcher, but market can recognize that yes, you are a good researcher, and through which once you build your image in the society for being a researcher, you do not have to make a multiple time efforts to prove yourself to become a researcher, right? So your people will start following your research work, and that's how the theme for the today's is how to increase your citation. So for the simple answer for the FTP for the today's session is try to have a synchronized approach for your research work. Try to publish your research work into good quality journals like Scopus, ABDC, Google Scholar, Taylor Francis, right? If you have it publication in this, people have the good quality access, right, through cross reference. And once the referencing is going to be improved, your work is done. Your citation has gone up. Your journey has begun. You are successful of the researcher, right? So this is how the process will start begin. But if you want to reach at this stage, being at the citation level, you have to start your journey for being a researcher on appropriate mode, right? You have to prove yourself to be a researcher first. Then only you will reach to this stage. Otherwise, it won't be possible, right? And believe me, this is very important and very hard stage. If you prove yourself to be a good researcher, everything will come automatically in front of you. You do not have to make a lot of efforts to reach at the citation. So citation will be automated process once your research is qualitative, right? Once your research is qualitative, everybody comes with the, by themselves only. You don't have to make an efforts. But yes, being a researcher, you have to make a lot of efforts. That is a clear point of view, right? So this is how to process to increase citation. So as I told you, how to write the research is your research should be original, right? It's a funnel process, and that's how your title should be very precise. It should not be too lengthy, too short, right? Your research should be justified on fundamental points, right? If you are failed to justify your fundamental fronts, that is the ultimate title of your research work, no journal who are believing in the quality will publish your paper. And at the same time, whenever you are targeting any sort of journals for your research work, you must see to this that the journal should cover the scope of the research that your title should cover, right? If at all the journal scope is not there, so in spite of having a quality research work, your paper should not get submitted, right? So you must find out those journals which covers the scope of the research that you are planning to publish, right? So even the selection of journal is also an art. So we must need to ensure this. Make sure that the content should be advanced and updated. Your content should be very advanced and updated. Identify a good journal for your research work, and having an idea about the quality of journal, that is in terms of impact factor. As I told you, in the previous slide, we have seen the quality journals. So you must see to it like, if at all you are planning for Scopus. So Scopus are, Q1 journal, Q2 journal, Q3 journal, and Q4 journal, right? So these are the 4 types of journal. This is the lowest quality of Scopus. Then this is quite, better quality. This is again great quality. If at all you publish your paper in this 2 kind of research, nobody can question on your research quality. That itself proves that you are a great researcher, right? So depend on the knowledge that you have it, right? Even if you are a beginner and you are listening these things for the first time, then you are far away from reaching to the great citation, right? So first of all, you need to understand this. You need to start your research. You need to start building your proposal, find out, do the proper literature review, modify title again and again. And you believe me, just remember the first title that you have given when you have started a proposal writing, and just compare your title when you have complete your proposal. You will see the drastic change in the title that you have made, because the continuous reading, continuous referencing, keep updating your knowledge in the domain in which you want to do the research, and that will make your research more advanced and updated, which is required in the society, right? So this is what the research is, and how to make an impact factor, how to go for the quality journal for increasing citation. So you must go to the Schemago website, right? So you can see the Schemago website, that is a Scopus Index journals, representative. You must see this, so that this journal is having this quality or not, right? So I'm a reviewer of this journal. So the called papers that is coming out is being reviewed by 3 times, 4 times, by the multiple peoples, right? So almost 8 to 9 reviews are happening on this journal. And if the 8 and 9 reviewers is approving your research work, then your research is going to be published, right? So you can understand how much accuracy is required as far as to publish your article into this kind of journals. So that is what is expected from you, that you should be clear on the all front and all backgrounds. So if at all any researcher wants to publish any articles being under my review, so he should possess all the qualities, at least that I should know it, right? And the journals are not giving reviewer role to anyone, those who are beginner or something. So they are checking your profile, and then after they are assigning this kind of roles, right? So the person who is doing reviewer role is very excellent in terms of research journey, right? So if you have to overcome to his knowledge or her knowledge, it's not an easy task, but yes, it's not an impossible task. You have to do it, right? And if at all you will do it, you are through, you are on the right path, right? So that is what we are here today to discuss, how to go it. So I have shown you this is the path through which. So I am not going detail into this. So title should be very precise. So you can have your research ID on researcher ID. So this is another website through which you can have the citation for your articles. That is researcher ID. So you can create your research ID over here, academia.edu, right? So again, you can create your research ID over here. This is also the one platform to have the good citation of your research work. Google Scholar. So Google Scholar, you can also go ahead with this. So Google Scholar can also help you to give the citations for your research work. So obviously you can go ahead with this. So this is where your citation will be reflected. You can see this H index. Total citations. Account at Google Scholar also. Orchid ID, yes. Orchid ID is very great platform to show your, you do not have to show any institution, universities, whenever they are going to hire you, you do not have to show your profile to them. But if at all they have the Orchid ID, they will see that even your article can be fetched. Whatsoever articles that you have published in Scopus, ABDC, MDPI, Inter Science journals, right, that can be easily fetched out with the use of Orchid ID. So you do not have to prove yourself, but Orchid ID will prove your works, right? So this is 16-digit Orchid ID that you all have to create being a researcher. And whenever you are planning to have the Scopus publication, it is very essential and important that you must possess this Scopus ID. If at all, Orchid ID, if at all you don't have it, you won't be able to fetch your articles or citations that you are, going to receive for your Scopus paper, right? So it's a connecting research and researcher. This is what it if at so ready to answer those queries, please. Anyone is having any question, anything you want to know, where you want to improve your knowledge, if at all you feel any problems for your research work, where you want to try to know how to come out with this, problems. So the session is open for all of you. Please ask me the questions.
Sir, I do have a query.
Yeah,
Sir, if
please.
my research is focused on a very small geographic location, does it
Yeah,
impact the probability of its publication?
not at all. I think that would be more, that would be more of publishing your articles. If that is with the location, research, whatever research is where from, not where you from, right? Research happen, you're checking it, previously, and you are trying to incorporate, but reaching to the vital importance after having conclusion of the results. If the things and if the process are going in a synchronized manner, right, where all the approaches has been executed in the right manner, I think no journal will deny your paper. Why they will deny? They are here to publish your article. They are not here to deny your articles.
Okay, sir.
Any other queries or anything you want to share or you want to ask about your research? You can ask.
So what about the UGC journals, UGC care journals?
So UGC care in terms of what? What is your question exactly?
Should we go for the publication in UGC care journals, or should we only focus for Scopus and all?
See, are you a beginner? Then you should start with peer review. I must
Okay.
tell you, right? It's a gradual process, as I told. No, if at all, if you are sitting in this today's FDP program and you are listening me today, but your research journey has been started before 6 months, so I consider you as a beginner.
But if I'm not a beginner, then I'm
Okay,
asking.
at least your research has reached to the UGC care level, right? Then you start gradually focusing on the Scopus, right? And believe me, Scopus journals is mainly focusing on the content, fundamental aspect, and lastly, the format which has been provided by the journals. Even they are focusing more on the formats, right? So they have their particular formats in which you have to provide your articles. It's not like that, monotonous way that we are carrying out the articles. Like as I told, introduction, literature review, methodology, data analysis. It's not like that. Every journal have the same format. Whenever you are going for the publication in Scopus, you must see the author's guidelines whenever you are planning to publish your paper at the Scopus level. So, and in the author's guideline, they have given one step-by-step guidance how your article should be, by considering each and every parameter. And many of the journals are also providing the ready-made templates to write your articles. But yes, if you want to plan a Scopus journal, your article should must have the systematic literature review. If at all, if you don't have systematic literature review, they will not accept it.
Thank you, sir.
Right?
And so one question
You can. No, why not? Why not? I
uh, about the difference between the conceptual and the empirical research paper. Should we go for
actually
conceptual
said
papers or
conceptual
not?
and empirical hardly matters. What matters is your research is qualitative or quantitative. If your research is qualitative, you have to be very cautious, right? That you should not manipulate or deviate the meanings of the other researcher, right? Because you are trying to get the idea of their research and you are just trying to conclude in your research work by considering 50 researcher paper and you just try to summarize those things. But if at all you are going for quantitative paper, again you are trying to just fetch the variable. What is the difference between qualitative and quantitative? So qualitative means you are trying to entire portray their paper into your findings, and quantitative means you are just trying to portray the variables that has been taken by the researcher in their study. That is the basic difference, which society doesn't know majorly, which I have found in this society. What they just understand the definition of quality and quantity, but actually if he talks about the quality and quantitative, the basic differences, Quality fetch the summary of the entire article into 1 or 2 paragraph into researchers. But quantitative means quantitative does not fetch the entire articles. It just try to fetch the variables that has been taken by the previous researcher, and they try to incorporate those variables into the research work, and they try to collect the data on that variables and try to see that whatever variables was found to be a significant into that particular area, just like an irrigation questions was there in between the session. So if the irrigation factors which is applicable in Indore is same applicable in Baroda city at Gujarat state, this is quantitative. But if you are planning to have the previous researcher to be a irrigation factors in Indore city, and you are also doing the research on Indore city, and you are trying to inculcate 50 or 60 research work on the Indore city, and you are concluding what exactly it is, this is qualitative.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. Any other queries, questions, anything you want to share?
सर
Yeah.
सर मैं जो इरिगेशन बारे में पूछ रहा था सर, मेरा जो टॉपिक, और वो पैरामीटर के बारे में सर पूछ रहा था कि पैरामीटर हम कैसे लेंगे।
पैरामीटर सर मैंने बोला ना, पैरामीटर्स आप लिटरेचर रिव्यू सर, एवरीथिंग इज लिटरेचर रिव्यू. Research start with literature review, research and with literature review.
जैसे कि सर मैं सोच रहा हूँ डिस्प्लेसमेंट तो हो रहा है कि इसे याद क्वेक के विषय याद क्वेक और
See, मुझे
ऐसे
आपके पैरामीटर का नाम नहीं जानना है सर. What I want to tell you is, you see the literature review and you try to inculcate, right? I told you, na, qualitative or quantitative. So you take a decision that will you able to do qualitative by searching enough research paper on the same topic in the same geographical location that you want to go for it, or if at all it is not there, then do you have the sensible audience who can answer your questions on the same topic that you want to do the research? If it is yes, you can proceed. But whatever variables आपको चाहिए तो variables भी वहां से मिलेंगे, और research paper को conclude करना है वो भी वहां से मिलेंगे. Choice is your, decision is yours based on availability of reviews.
Yes sir.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you sir.
Any more questions?
Any other participants?
I hope I had tried to justify the objective of all of yours to connect with the today's session, and I hope this session will be useful to you for your future journey of the researcher. And I told if you want to generate your research journey, try to follow good researcher in your domain area. It will enhance your journey. After getting knowledge, you should follow that things. As I told it is also one kind of literature review, right? So you should have the idea how to do research, how to proceed with the research, and that is what research. Just observe the society, and the research will come. You do not have to find out the citation. Thank you so much for connecting today. Thank you all participants, Research Foundation of India, Ajay sir. Special thanks to Neha madam. Over to you, madam. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So it's time to conclude this wonderful session. But before we end, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to all participants for their active involvement and valuable contributions. A special thanks to our esteemed speaker, Dr. Kunal Soni sir, for sharing his profound knowledge. We also extend our sincere appreciation to the organizing committee and its sponsors for their unwavering support in making this FDP a success. With heartfelt thanks to everyone, we officially bring today's session to a close. Thanks so much.
Thank you.